Let's go. Football card collecting and investing. Are you kidding me? Prizm hobby boxes are here at the end of the episode. Might be a little biased towards this quarterback. And that's gonna be my play of the week. I'm super excited about that. But Andy, obviously, this is the most interesting release I can remember in football cards, simply because it's been pushed back, and now we're finally getting to see some hobby box action, baby. So what's your initial reaction to Prizm finally hitting the hobby box shelves per se at
Man.
that lovely price of 1,600, baby? Let's go.
Yeah, there's been so much anticipation, and we're just like starving for this Prizm product because it is the king set in the hobby, man. It is so liquid. It does so well every year for football specifically too. Like I think it's even more popular in football than it is in basketball or the other sports, but certainly it's probably the king set in those sports as well. But man, I am hoping that I get one of these manga Tom Brady color blast cards with the Thanos rings. That would be absolutely sick, man.
Look at that. Maybe shout out to my guy JJets18. Everyone's trying to get their breaks ready. This is going to be an anticipated break product, probably the most anticipated break product in football, because once again, the leading into it, man, I would love a Jamar Chase color blast. I would love, though, that Tom Brady Thanos manga insert. So a lot of fun inserts. Andy, I'm going to throw it to you here right off the jump. Do you like this year's Prizm design?
I do. I think once again, they've made it to where it's going to be easy to grade the centering of at least the base cards. You can see that geometrical little border on either side. So you can go top to bottom, left to right. You can get a good idea if the card is centered or not, which can be pretty difficult, like looking at a field level select card, for example, or even this illumination card, things that don't have the equal like geometrical shapes on either side to get an idea of it's centered. So I like that. I like how they're adding like a natural color match aspect to it in the like the colors around the text and the colors on the border. I really like that about it as well.
Yeah, I like this Prizm design more than last year's. And, as you know, Andy, 2020 was, a big deal for me because of how many LSU players are in that class. But I do love this year's design. And, you just had it up on the screen. We're looking at all these different inserts. There are going to be a lot of inserts in this one as well. So keep this in mind. Not only will there be all these Prizm inserts, a lot of products are going to be released within the next few months. And I know we harp on it a lot on this episode, but it's just, the simple case of supply and demand, Andy, with the snakeskin insert, the green insert, the orange laser insert, the invisible octopus insert. I made that one up, but a lot of you probably believed that was an actual insert type. So, Andy, the supply, they just keep printing it, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, they just keep printing it. We've seen clear, go into tradecarddatabase.com. You can see clear increases in the number of inserts, the number of parallels. Those are going up. There has been a demand for those. We some of those look really cool. And we all have like our favorite insert, whether you're a big red cracked ice guy, or maybe you love the wave design cards, or maybe you're big on just the silver Prizm autos or the silver Prizms. They like to put a little bit of something in there for everybody. You got the scopes, the shimmers, the shocks, the waves. You got all kinds of stuff.
Now, you know how I feel about this 2021 quarterback class, Andy. I am out. But that doesn't mean you can't make money because of how hot this product is going to be going into next season. But understand, with all the different releases over the next month, I still, I hate clearly Donruss, but, with all these different types of these cards coming out, I would go on ahead and think about liquidating some of the cards that you have now. Outside of rookie ticket autos, how desirable, you got to ask yourself this question: how desirable are the cards in that you have of these players? Will they be desirable when all these products are released? So for me, Andy, this would be a good time if you are holding a lot of those Kyle Trask cards. to sell them right now before even more hit the market.
Yeah, I think so, and especially if you're holding Mac Jones, or maybe it's Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, any of these, Justin Fields, any of these first round rookie quarterbacks from last year. I think it's a great time to go ahead and try and take offers, try and sell even skill position guys. Kyle Pitts, is a guy. You think about it, like, right? I recently sold a Rookies and Stars Red Laser number 25 out of 25. I sold that card for $125. I bought it for 80. I don't think that I'll get that same amount of money after Prism, Optic, Select, Obsidian, Flawless, all these other sets come out, and now you're talking about just a massive increase in supply. I probably will get lost in the shuffle, so to speak. Even though it's still autographed, still serial numbered, I could see somebody passing that over for a Prism autograph card with similar scarcity for around the same price point.
Yeah, and look, for me, Andy, this is where it gets very interesting. Should you actually use the money to go buy a box? Okay. Now, you have the analytics. I don't. We are getting a bunch of new listeners and viewers. So we really do appreciate the subscriptions and the 5-star reviews. If you're a diehard card collector, you probably already know what we're about to say. But if you are new, this is a question that you probably get the most of, Andy, because a lot of people growing up, it used to be you go to the store, you buy a pack of cards, and whatever cards you get. But now there is the singles market. You can pick your own thing with eBay and all the different marketplaces that are out there. So let me ask you this, Andy. Is it a smart move to put your money into sealed wax for Prizm?
Sealed wax, if you can get it at retail prices, I do think it's fun, because if you can get it at retail prices for a blaster box, and you're planning to get it, take it, you're going to get at least some entertainment value out of that. So you're spending $30 on it. Maybe you have fun for an hour, or maybe less, depending on how fast you go through the cards and how fast you rip them. But there's a level of entertainment value there in and of itself. And then maybe you're going to get 1 or 2 or 3 rookie cards out of that, whether it's skill position guys. Maybe you get lucky and you get one of these quarterbacks. I think you can easily turn around and sell that initially, right as this is coming out of the gates. If you do it quick enough, while the supply is still limited on eBay, you could easily break even in a lot of cases. So if you're buying it at retail prices, I do think, I would do it. But if you're buying it off the secondary marketplace and now you're spending $60, $80 for a blaster box, that's when I draw the line. And I don't, especially when the odds of one of these guys panning out, getting to the level of Herbert and Burrow, especially knowing how the quarterbacks drive the market, that's a steep price to pay for it,
Yeah, and Panini goes through this, right? How many big hits should we put in blasters and in hangers, right? Because to justify the price of the blasters and hangers and cello packs to go up, you kind of want to put more hits, because more hits would show up on social media, and then more people be like, well, maybe I should take a chance on getting those blasters and hangers and cellos. So, for me, Andy, I still think mega boxes are instant buys for me. I just think mega boxes, those are the boxes that I enjoy ripping the most. I also don't mind paying the $60 price tag for a mega box, because most of those mega boxes do guarantee one auto. Now, from time to time, one of those might be a redemption. We'll see. But obviously, hobby boxes, being what they are right now, are so ridiculous, right? they really, really are. And unless you're getting a rare quarterback, it's probably not worth the 1,600 price tag. And especially if you're trying to buy and rip something and hold long term, the only player in this last draft class that I just unbelievably believe in long term doesn't play quarterback. He plays wide receiver for the Bengals, and his name is Jamar Chase. Now, I know a lot of people are going to see my logo right here. Power LSU. Well, of course he says that. Of course. Baby. I would not steer
Yeah.
people wrong, Andy. Even you would have to agree that Jamar Chase's prices are going to be very interesting over these next couple of months.
Oh, dude. And he's almost one of those guys where it's like, you're tempted to pay up to buy a Jamar Chase card right now, just with how well he's teed up to just smash and just melt all faces in 2022 with the Bengals and Joe Burrow. And so, yeah, if you get it, I'd rather pull a rare Jamar Chase card than one of those quarterbacks for a long-term holding. If I pull the quarterback, I'm just going to immediately list that sucker on eBay and take a nice profit. I do find it very interesting looking at tradingcarddatabase.com. They do have data on here for Prizm that's being released this Friday. Trevor Lawrence, 1.1 pick this past year, has 127 different Prizm cards, a combination of, base cards, variations of the base card, the parallels, the inserts, 127. Joe Burrow in 2020 actually had 138, though, Carter. So that is interesting. 11 more Joe Burrow cards, and maybe that's because there was a bigger difference in the depth of talent at quarterback in 2020 between Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and then Jordan Love, and it kind of falls off quicker. Whereas in 2021, you literally had quarterback. You know what I'm saying? In the first round. So it seemed like it was very quarterback heavy in the NFL draft. So, and we know that they print more cards based on draft pedigree.
Right. And Tua was in that top 10 class, and there's a lot of different Tua cards. But your point still remains the same, though. Like, I was joking about all those different variations, but I didn't know that they would go down. So I'm actually glad that you actually looked that up. My lazy self didn't do that. But it still holds true. That's still a lot. 127 is still a freaking lot. And every time I think about that, I'm like, well, for these prices for me to get quarterback X, I could still just go get a really nice super short print Russell Wilson card in a very iconic year for football cards, which was 2012. Something else that's very interesting, and for those that are new, 2012 is an iconic football card year because that was the first year Prizm was out. But, for me, Andy, one quarterback whose prices I am going to be looking at really closely, even though I did believe in him at first and my confidence has kind of been shot, is Zach Wilson, right? So you have this New York market. You have the Jets who drafted Garrett Wilson, who a lot of people had as the best wide receiver in the draft. You also have, a lot of influential people in the hobby that are New York Jet fans. Obviously, a big reason why a lot of people got in this card hobby was Gary V. You don't think Gary V is going to hold up a super short print Zach Wilson card at some point? And when he says something, I mean, that, I know the term influencer gets thrown around a lot, but he is an influencer, right? There's a lot of Jet fans out there begging for a quarterback, and there's going to be a lot of hype leading into next year, with Zach Wilson. I think that's a good flip opportunity, especially if you get something super duper short print. I saw Lou Janu, another card content creator, saying, I want Zach Wilson short print numbered stuff like right now. So that's going to be a player, outside of Jamar that I'm really going to focus in on, even though I would not, I still think Trevor's better, and I still think Justin Fields is going to be the best quarterback out of any of these five. But it's going to be very fascinating keeping up with all these different, players over the next couple of weeks. Now, Andy, the next topic I wanted to get to, obviously, what's really good about your Patreon is, you're very helpful. You don't just cover the big name quarterbacks that really run the hobby. You talk about the different wide receivers, running backs. I'm a defensive PC guy with Tyrann Mathieu, so you're one of the few guys I could go to talk about, Tyrann Mathieu short print cards. And I've been lucky to, build my collection. But what's very interesting, though, is like there is this debate, I think a lot of collectors have, Andy, over putting a bunch of big money into an elite quarterback compared to, using that money to scatter it around with different position players. Like, with the really short print Josh Allen card, you could buy 5 Justin Jeffersons and 3 T. Higgins or whatever. So how do you feel about the higher end football card market for the modern guys right now?
The higher, I feel that in a lot of ways, it's very inflated to a degree, especially for guys like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, even Tom Brady on his premium stuff. He's the guy I would feel best about investing in 1,000+ on his base card, in a graded format. But looking at like Patrick Mahomes PSA 10 base Prizm from 2017, that's going for $6,000-7,000, Carter. Or Josh Allen's 2018 silver Prizm going for over $1,000 in a graded format. I mean, that card price is very inflated. We're talking it's 10x over of what the best skill position player is. If you were to look at what a Cooper Kupp 2017 Prizm's PSA 10 is going for example, at max a couple $100, and the guy was just a Super Bowl MVP, Carter, and he's still going as the number one wide receiver in most cases. Like, it's right up there with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson in fantasy drafts. So in terms of expectations for production this year, Rams running back. So there's a huge difference in pricing there, and we do see, like, we're seeing these changes in values throughout the year. So why not invest in the skill position player? Because you're limiting your downside, because a card can only go so low in a PSA 10 grade for those assets, the scarcity, the autograph, serial number, what have you. And so why not limit your downside while still offering a same percentage of upside? I think that, where's the Patrick Mahomes 2017 Prizm going to go? Is it going to go up to 10 grand? Are people actually going to pay 10 grand? That was the peak that I saw it get to in like September of 2020. It got close to 10 grand, but there were very few transactions, whereas you saw a bunch of transactions for Cooper Kupp's Prizm cards throughout the season last year. And they were, like, spiking after these big performances. And there were a bunch of transactions because somebody is going to pay, $200 for a PSA 10 Cooper Kupp Prizm, whereas somebody, the chances of people paying 10 grand for a Patrick Mahomes Prizm, and then you have less competition as well. That's another thing, Carter. You have less competition on these skill position player auctions than you do these Mac Jones auctions and Patrick Mahomes auctions and all these premium quarterback auctions.
Yeah, I would be careful with one of the names that you mentioned, which is Cooper Kupp. Since he is a little bit older, and my question would be, is he ever going to, get back to that level, right? Like, there's a piece of me that says, if I was in the position in a fantasy draft to take Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson, so there's a piece of me, Andy, that says, what, I might take Jefferson just because he's a little bit younger, right? I actually was in that position recently on an Underdog. Shout out to Underdog. They support you and me, but and I actually did take Cooper Kupp, but I was like, man, Justin Jefferson would hate me. You'd be like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? You've only been a super fan of me for forever. But yeah, I would be a little careful, spending a lot on Cooper Kupp. Now, this comes from someone who, Andy, you saw I was buying his Cooper Kupp PSA 10 Prizms for $35. I know that sounds stupid, but you witnessed it, right? I believe in Cooper Kupp. I thought he was going to be special in Matthew Stafford. I did not think he would do what he did. And I think he's going to be great again this year. But, for me, this is what I would say about buying like the super premium quarterbacks. I follow this guy, Ryan Cards, on Twitter. He's got a big following. And he's been, sharing some tips for, the cards that he's able to sell. And some people like him, some people dislike him. I know he could ruffle feathers or whatever. But there was one point he made. It's important, if you are going to spend a lot of money on a card, make sure it is a desirable card, right? Make sure it is a numbered Prizm or an on-card autograph that also happens to be numbered, okay? Now, those might cost, let's just say you're deciding between a Josh Allen base card for, $600, $700. There's so many of those that are out there in PSA 10 format. That to me is just, you're just burning money. Like, there's not a super high upside for that card. It just doesn't exist. And I'm not saying, I'm not one of those people that say base is just totally dead. But there is upside if you use that 600, 700, and if you absolutely had to have a Josh Allen card, is to just put it towards a rookie ticket auto or something someone really wants. Now, that might be worth 1,000 or so more, probably 2,000 or so more, but it's worth it because if he does blow up, that's going to be desirable. Numbered cards are desirable. Autograph cards, especially if they're on card, are desirable, Andy. So that's what I would say. Just looking at which cards actually do sell on social media, uh, I would look for numbered auto stuff and stuff that people really want. I love Obsidian. I love Obsidian. I love the way it looks. But let me ask you this, Andy: is Obsidian unbelievably desirable in the hobby?
I think it's got enough like super fans that it is,
Right.
but it's obviously nowhere near that of Prism Optics Select or National Treasures Flawless. It's
Right.
not at those levels.
Yeah. So if you are going to do that, and if you are saying, I've got to have a Justin Herbert card, I would be careful just buying something that is not totally desirable. And what's really interesting about it, Andy, is you do a lot of empirical stuff and you look at this stuff. For the most part, let me ask you this. Do you think, like, when you think of a card, can you pretty instantly say which cards are desirable and which ones aren't without looking at a ton of data? Can you subjectively say that?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's what everybody should do. That's what everybody should do before they end up buying a big money card. Is this card actually something that people are going to want? And is it something that someone's going to want at least for the price that I'm buying for now? And if the answer to that is yes, that should make you feel more comfortable if you're going to actually buy that card.
Yeah, and I've been looking at, I've really opened my horizons up a lot in terms of looking at veteran cards, right?
Right.
And I'm excited to, and I think this is important to note that you're not going to see, unless it's stuff that's coming out January or December, January, closer next year, like Russell Wilson, for example, in Denver Broncos cards. You're not going to see that in any of these releases coming out right now from 2021, which kind of stinks, but it is what it is because of how long they're taking to manufacture. But, I've really like turned my focus to looking at the assets of the card. Like I would be okay with a Josh Allen autographed college card of him from his Wyoming days. If it's autographed and serial numbered, and I had less competition on that card, and maybe a guy said, "Wow, he's in his Wyoming jersey, and nobody wants that." And he let me pick it up for like $100, and it was like autographed on card and numbered out of 99 or something. I think I could easily make a lot of money off that card just because of the value that is placed on the autograph and the scarcity of the serial number aspect of that card.
Like, for instance, I bought a few Justin Herbert cards. It was actually just a throw-in on a deal for a big lot of Leonard Fournette and Jeremy Hill super short print. And they were just like Justin Herbert, like Oregon uniform cards, but one was a silver, one was a refractor or whatever you want to call it. And, I sold those in the draft for like $30 a piece. And the whole lot that I bought was $50. And the Justin Herbert was just a throw in. Like it just happened to be in there. And I was like, no one's going to want a Justin Herbert Oregon card. They did. It was 30, like just $30 that, I didn't think anything about. So, I how I am, Andy, about college uniform cards. I want it to be a thing. And I do think, at some point as the prices get up, people are going to look to buy cheaper stuff just to make sure that they have a card. So it's a really interesting point. And I'm going to bring that up in my play of the week in just a second. So,
hey, even Mahomes cards in his Texas jersey, dude, I see those I'm talking base college cards from Patrick Mahomes sell for like $30-$40. So
now I'm going to do something for you, Andy, just to make sure people don't come after you. His Texas Tech uniforms, okay?
Texas Tech, yeah.
The reason why I say that, though, because I know you meant Texas Tech, right, is people in Lubbock will pitchfork your butt if you call them Texas. Don't call them Texas Tech. They take it very, very seriously. And look, I don't blame them. I don't want to ever get mistaken for a Texas Longhorn ever. Still, you've made so many good points today, Andy, and now we got to get to our hobby tip of the week, and I'll open the floor to you for this week.
Yeah, man. So right now, at this time of the year in May, end of May here, going into June, we are so starved for football activity, football news, that every little thing coming from OTAs and that's being leaked on Twitter from, Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport, like people are just like fiending over it. They're going crazy. So, for example, Colin Kaepernick worked out with the team. The Las Vegas Raiders hasn't even signed a contract, just worked out with them. But we've seen an incredible increase in Colin Kaepernick sold activity on eBay in the past 7 days. It's literally up like 750%, Carter. So my hobby tip is, if you're holding Colin Kaepernick cards, go ahead, sell them. Sell those suckers, man. He's relevant. It may not be relevant again for a very long time or ever. And it's the first time that he's even worked out with a team since he's played in 6 years. I think it was 2016 was the last time he played.
Very interesting. What's funny is a lot of people have been trying to do this for Andrew Luck for so long, just hoping, Andy, that Andrew Luck would get some kind of workout. And he's on our chart right now. If you're watching on YouTube, you see that auction volume of Andrew Luck. 3, baby. 3 and a 6 buy it now format. I freaking love it. But goodness gracious, Cap, I see you, Cap.
So the other little interesting nugget of news that I saw leaked was that it looks like Mitchell Trubisky, there were comments out from a beat reporter in Pittsburgh that said, unless Kenny Pickett absolutely blows the socks off of the coaching staff in OTAs and minicamp, that it's Mitchell Trubisky's starting job in September. And we're already seeing some activity. I expect Mitchell Trubisky's cards to go back up in value. If he is starting out the season, there's going to be some hype from this cat.
I love it. And look, I kind of want to punch both of us in the face for not buying those Mitchell Trubisky rookie ticket autos for a hundo. And right when the news announced, what were they going for, Andy? $400.
Yeah. They may be back down there now because of how ever since they drafted Kenny Pickett, it was just an automatic assumption. They invested first-round capital in Kenny Pickett. He's going to be the starter in week 1. Now, all of a sudden, we're getting news, that it's looking like it's going to be Trubisky to start week 1. And people are going back to the Mitchell Trubisky train. And I expect it to pick up, especially if more solid reports come out from Tomlin and the coaching staff that it is, in fact, Trubisky week 1.
And something that's really fascinating about Pittsburgh in particular is they're revamping their entire front office, with Colbert, retiring. So lots of, and I think they went with Khan to be their guy. So a lot of movement there. Look at that. I mean, how much
a steal.
That 2017 set. Woo!
That's a steal. That's an on-card optic from 2017 that went for $79. This is my other hobby tip. One more hobby tip before I let you take the floor, Carter. And that is, on holidays, auctions go so low. Dude, you guys will see some of the auctions that I won yesterday on Memorial Day. And if you're on the patreon.com/football cards, you'll see my backstage video I put out with the auctions I was watching and some of them that I won. Because people were just celebrating, they're not competing for these auctions. You have less competition. You're able to really snipe some wonderful cards like these Mitchell Trubisky's here, for example.
There you go. So my hobby tip of the week, Andy, and I think this is a very important tip because I failed in this aspect. So I'm a YouTuber. It's what I do full time. I'm very lucky to have Power Hour LSU. We're growing, doing a lot of new projects, really cool stuff, right? So one of the big reasons that my channel has succeeded up to this point, now it's really slow, but because it is we're in the dead of the off season, is I read each and every comment. I do, right? So my hobby tip of the week is, when you consume hobby content, in particular on YouTube, read the comment section. Do it. Now, it's very important, okay? A lot of us watch YouTube on our big screen because it's automatically, just there, right? So it's not as easy, to read the comments on that. But what's really interesting is, I watch all these card vlogs. I watch Roth. I watch Mojo and all these different people, card collector. Is there are oftentimes a lot of people in the comment sections that are super sharps. They're older. They've been in the industry for a while. They're not going to get a camera out and do that, but they'll drop some really good comments, right? Now, what's really interesting is our comment section on our channel has been lit, right?
Oh
Because
yeah.
we did something, and I failed to do it in the beginning of this episode. We asked you guys to give us the a bunch of good tips, right, for going to card shows. So just in general, I have learned so much just reading YouTube comment sections of every sports card content creator that I watch, because there's always something a little extra, and the card community always wants to help each other out. So, for instance, I didn't read the comment sections after last week's episode because I'm an idiot. But Joel Garza, a lot of the handwritten one-on-ones are part of a buyback program where Panini buys the cards back, then has players signed. Usually they have some kind of stamp showing buyback. Okay. So we were getting a lot of different answers as to why the one-of-one thing, why some cards have one-of-one written on there compared to it just being printed on there. I did not know that, right? So yes, a lot of you come for like card tips for me. You're obviously way sharper in this than I am. I'm more of like, a novice, obviously, in this. But there are people that know more than us, Andy, that comment down below. Obviously, Michael Ham is
Absolutely.
is super smart, right? David Hunter is super smart. Those guys will bring a lot of value. So this is the same thing for now. Obviously, not all advice is going to be good advice, but always go read the comment section because Andy, I know you've gotten a lot of valuable stuff from the viewers that watch our show.
Absolutely, man. The guys out there on the quest that are actively commenting on my videos, they will not hesitate to let me know if I've missed something aspect of something that I'm researching, which I think is wonderful, man, because I can't, I have a pretty good understanding, but I'm learning new stuff every day, man. And these guys have helped me out so much with the comments on the videos. Just a prime example is learning about buybacks last week. We both learned about buybacks last week. So absolutely great tip.
Yeah, and shout out to Raleigh Al, Mark Speltz. I love that last name, Speltz. Shelly's always, a gem. Joel, JP, Travis, Shant.
It's
I love that.
Shant.
Oh, it's Shant.
It's
Okay,
Shant.
well,
Yeah.
excuse me, Shant. He gave us a bunch of good tips right there, and he's a JT collector. There you go.
Oh, dude, yeah, go JT collector right there.
Yeah, and by JT we mean Justin Timberlake cards. That's good. Hey, you know what? I've seen a few Justin Timberlake cards go for a lot, but obviously, the great Jonathan Taylor. Now, Andy, it's time for play of the week, and I'll start here. I am actively looking into buying more Jameis Winston. Look, you get a week one matchup versus Atlanta. Saints versus Atlanta every year is a big deal to Saints fans and Atlanta Falcons fans. The Falcons are a horrible football team. The Saints are not. You can have your own opinion about Jameis Winston, but if the Saints come out and throttle Atlanta in week one, the hype is going to be absolutely insane because if you go position by position, the Saints have a Super Bowl roster. They are very, very deep in a lot of different spots with a lot of new acquisitions and a lot of LSU players joining that team as well. So lots of hype going towards Jameis Winston. You're telling me right now in a buy now format, I can get a rookie ticket auto for anywhere from 200 to 250. Are you kidding me? I can go do that right now. That's ridiculous, right? And look, I'm not comparing him to Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow rookie ticket autos raw go for what, Andy? $2,000. So
Yeah,
that's
more than that.
that's a raw Joe Burrow rookie ticket auto at its floor, right? And that is more heavily printed, obviously, with that being 2020 and Jameis Winston being 2015. And to add an extra layer to it, Andy, like you said a minute ago about the college uniform thing, there are a lot of college uniform Jameis Winston cards out there because he was the number one overall pick and he went to Florida State. So you have an elite college program. Well, not now, but an elite college program where you won the Heisman, number one overall pick. there might be some value in getting some good Jameis Winston college uniform stuff. But if the pro uniform Buccaneer stuff is as affordable as it is now, I could see you easily doubling your money on a rookie ticket auto that you can get in a Beckett slab for, I think I saw one before this episode for $231. Going into the season, I think that's no less. I mean, no less than a $400 to $500 card because Jameis Winston is the guy. So be on the lookout for that. I'm also very interested in seeing if Baker Mayfield's prices hit an absolute floor of all floors, because wherever he goes is going to generate some interest. So you could take advantage of buying some Baker Mayfield right now.
I got two things for you on Jameis Winston. One is look for 2021 Jameis Winston in Saints uniform. That is very important from a collection standpoint. I know you're not a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, Carter.
Right.
So you can actually find, like, I'm looking at a 2021 Panini XR number 32 out of 199 for $5, Jameis Winston. In a Saints uniform. It looks cool. And from a collection standpoint, that's what Saints collectors want, especially when Jameis goes off. Of course, rookie cards are nice, but veteran cards in the current team's uniforms are very liquid as well. That's one. Number two is I recently comped Jameis Winston against Joe Burrow, and looking at their Prizm Silver, you're right. Jameis Winston has 2,000 fewer different rookie cards than Joe Burrow. All right, Jameis has got 2,400. Joe Burrow's got right at 4,400. The 2015 Prizm Silver for Jameis Winston is currently selling for about $60 to $70 raw. The Joe Burrow is currently selling about $500 raw.
Insane.
And, I'm not saying obviously Jameis Winston is Joe Burrow or anything like that, but it's just such a huge difference there with Joe Burrow's card being more common, that the Jameis Winston should be able to more easily get to 100, 150. He makes a nice little double or triple up off that card at some point this year.
And we've mentioned this stat once. Jameis's EPA numbers are really good. When he was healthy last year, and once again, it was a small sample. I think his name is Tage on Twitter. He says Jameis is top 10 in EPA per drop back. Pretty interesting stuff. And look, week one, he was the best quarterback in week one last year going up against Aaron Rodgers. So once again, there is value in going off week one because the market is still hot in those first couple of weeks. He's going up against Atlanta. So be on the lookout for that. All right, Andy, let's see what you have to say about play of the week.
Yeah, baby. So pivoting from the quarterback this week, I'm going to talk about running backs. And this guy is an anomaly. All right. And I think that you should invest in anomaly, especially on a super powered, supercharged team as the Los Angeles Chargers. And I want to talk about Austin Eckler because he's going in the first round. I very rarely see him slip to the second round of fantasy drafts, especially when we're talking about single QB best ball or single QB redraft or even single QB dynasty formats. Even Austin Eckler is still going that high. He's only 27 years old. He went undrafted, but last year, Carter, in the Chargers offense, he was number one in passing targets. He was also number one in touchdowns. He had 20 touchdowns last year, Carter. 20 touchdowns with the most amount of receiving yards at 647. You look at his routes run, his route participation, his yards per touch were 5.6. That was the number 8 best rate in the league. He had 9 breakaway runs even, which was the 12th best rate in the league. So, I mean, I'm just looking at all his numbers are incredible. Yards created, number 3 in the league. The Chargers have improved the team even more throughout the offseason. Austin Eckler is basically at his peak, I think, going into this season in terms of what we can expect from a production standpoint. I think that Austin Eckler could easily finish as the number 1 RB. It's in his range of outcomes if his health is fine, which, I mean, his health did check out last year, so his health checked out last year. He didn't miss any games. 2020 did miss 6 games with a hamstring strain and knee hyperextension. But other than that, 2019, full bill of health. So Austin Eckler is very sturdy, very durable. He's not the biggest guy, but guess what? He went undrafted. This is the best thing I like about him, Carter. You can invest in his base cards. I know you're thinking he's a running back. You can't invest in his base cards, but Austin Eckler went undrafted, and they only printed 23 different rookie cards for Austin Eckler. It's just insanely lower. Like the next closest guy to him is James Conner or Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones had 264 different rookie cards in 2017, but Austin Eckler literally only has a rookie ticket auto and a select concourse. That's it, man. 23 different rookie cards. 23. When you look at Najee Harris, who's got 4,000 different rookie cards, or Jonathan Taylor, who's got 3,300 different rookie cards, Austin Eckler's got 23. So when you buy a base select concourse for $5-10, that's actually a pretty good chance that card could go up $20-30 at some point this season, based on a couple good performances.
I like it, man. I don't know. Like, as far as Austin Eckler is concerned, I'm very interested to see what their plans are with Isaiah Spiller, right? How do you feel about Spiller? I mean, are you?
I mean, look, he's one of those film guys. Like, I've studied Isaiah Spiller's athletic profile, and I know he tested slow at the combine, and that kind of hurt his draft pedigree where he was drafted. But he did some interesting things. Texas A&M, right? Did I get the right Texas school?
Yeah.
Right Texas school. And so, yeah, he did some interesting things on film. I think that the Chargers drafted him as an insurance policy to Eckler, because obviously Eckler isn't the biggest back. You know, he's only 5'9", 200 pounds. He is built like it's 200 pounds of freaking muscle, man. But still, he did have like that hamstring surgery back in 2019. Ever since then, he has gone on record saying like that his hamstring hasn't been the same. So, you know, there's a possibility he could tweak it. Also, he's the type of guy who's at the maturity level that said, guys, I'm not a bell cow. Like, I use me as a weapon in certain scenarios, but I'm not a bell cow. But I definitely think he's going to be their red zone threat. He's going to be their receiving threat. And he's got like an ability going back to his college days to make guys miss. Like, you can't arm tackle a guy, even though he's 5'9", 200. You can't arm tackle Austin Eckler. You got to take him down like you're tackling Derrick Henry. You know, that's the kind of way. That's the way Austin Eckler is built. So I think Isaiah Spiller is going to be really like a between the 20s type of back, grinder back, and Austin Eckler will be more that red zone threat, critical situation threat.
One little tip here. I know people are interested in looking at Mike Williams autograph cards. Be very careful when it comes to someone with a very basic name like that, because there's been a ton of Mike Williams. Sure. So that if you're doing like a price analysis and you're like, oh, look, Mike Williams rookie ticket auto for $3.99. Well, that's the other Mike Williams. There's a ton of Mike Williams in existence. So be careful with that. There you go, Andy. Great episode today, my man. Once again, patreon.com/footballcards is where we can find you. And until next week, peace.
Boom. See you guys next week.
This is interesting, and you probably know about this since you're in the fantasy community, but and this might just interest you in general. I found that the heavier running backs at LSU have been the more successful ones. So, like, according to like, are you familiar with like 247 and Rivals and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, right. I was looking at them a lot during the draft,
right?
Because of their prospecting grades and stuff.
So that's become bigger in like Dynasty, where they look at your 247 weight, and your 247 weight is like your weight as a prospect, what they measured you as. And that weight would often correlate with which running backs succeeded, regardless of their recruiting ranking. So if you were a 3-star recruit and you still weighed like 220 coming in, you're still a successful back. And there's never been a back during the modern era of LSU football that's gone to LSU and if they weighed 215 or more, they were good.
Oh, TDP.
TDP was a tank. So if
he's a sleeper.
Yeah, so if he but if they weighed less than 210, the results were a little more scattered, right? And that correlates with what a lot of dynasty fantasy people say. So what's very interesting about that is there's like other little traits, and I've been working on this for 2 weeks, that determine which running back succeeds. So most of LSU's best running backs are from Louisiana. I also think, like, for instance, there was a tweet that went up that I thought was very interesting, was the like someone posted a photo of a Jackie Robinson card, right? Like a really good PSA 4 Jackie Robinson card. And they posted a photo of a Kyler Murray gold numbered 9 out of 10 card. Or like a gold rookie Kyler Murray PSA 9. And I would take the Kyler Murray card. I'm not just saying, like, as a football fan, I just think Kyler Murray's still a really good quarterback, and that's numbered gold to 10. That just, for me, just gives me more upside. It would, for the Jackie Robinson card to go up, we would just randomly need, it's a safer card per se, but if you wanted to flip and make money off of it, you wouldn't need him. There would need to be like a big push.
Jackie Robinson documentary, or new high rollers in the hobby that are Jackie Robinson super collectors. It's like stuff like that, I feel would make a big push on his cards. Whereas Kyler, he's got 15 years of performance ahead of him,
Right. Let me
Plus, let's be real, like the design of the card, the aesthetics. I mean, there is something to be said about those old vintage cards. Just the vintage aspect of them are cool looking, because you just don't see stuff like that anymore. The way they did their text and the way the card was made and everything. But I mean, there's something about the chromium finish and the gold swirls and the cracked ice and all that stuff, and the way they do autographs now. This looks, it's got a lot of sex appeal.
What's the quickest way for me to look up like the pop count for Beckett? Do I just go to Beckett?
Yeah, BGS grading. I think it's just bgsgrading.com, and they should have a pop report, or maybe even just type in BGS grading. Yeah, online sports and non-sports. There you go. If you go to their beckett.com/grading, they're right there on the homepage is a pop report.
Okay.
I'll share my screen.
Yeah. I'm interested to see because it seems like Jameis Winston's rookie ticket autos are mostly in a BGS slab. I just think Jameis, his cards can go up. I really do.
Football.
Yeah, draft capital, the story. People love a good comeback story. And let me see. Great.
He really, he seems to have matured a lot, like watching his recent press conferences and stuff. I don't know, if it's actually going to translate into better performance, but you got, silky smooth Chris Olave coming in. You got Michael Thomas. Should be. I can't take another, he should be 100% healthy. I don't know how much time Kamara's going to miss, but I think you guys still have a really good offensive line, even though you lost to Teron Armstead. But
yeah, you want to know what's funny? I hate Olave.
You hate Olave? Just Ohio State, or what is it about Olave you hate?
I just think Burks is way better than him, and I'm just a Burks guy, man. I know I'm a stickler.
What do you think about that post, the news that we got from OTAs about him being winded and having some kind of breathing issues?
It's so much bullshit. Like,
really,
I'm telling you now, okay. Treylon Burks is one of these guys who is not a bad kid, okay, but he's been starting varsity since he was in 8th grade.
Wow,
and
that's insane.
So, like, for some people like that, like let's say like Jamar Chase, who's like so supremely talented, Jamar Chase was good as a true freshman and a superstar as a sophomore. Same thing for like Traylon Burks, right? Let me see this right.
Here's your pop report.
Oh wait, 14.
It's
Wait,
numbered out
really?
of 75. So yeah, you literally only have 43 total grades. 29 of 43 are 9.5s.
Okay.
Wow.
So
There
tell
is
me
3 10s. Wow.
what okay, so what about just his regular rookie ticket auto, just like not the numbered out of 75, but just
Yeah. Let's see. If we
his
just did this right here, we should be able to get it. They're rare though. I mean, you don't see these pop up very often. There you go.
441. That's relatively high.
Wow, you actually see, yeah, dude, that's actually really good. I mean, you have two BGS 10 black labels, which are really hard to get. You have two, so this card grades pretty well.
Yeah, I thought that pop count would be a little bit lower on just the regular ones.
441. Wow. I mean, yeah, but you compare that to something of today's standard. Plus, Jameis with the draft pedigree they did in 2015. I mean, they printed him, and if you look at like the Prizm, yeah, Prizm's a good one because they printed him in 3 different base photo variations.
Right.
And if you look at Topps Chrome, I mean, dear God, Topps was just like, because they think they knew it was their last year of their being able to print licensed products. So they were just, I mean, they were printing like crazy, man. They had all kinds of stuff.
886.
Let's see that compared to 2020 Panini contenders and Joe, your boy Joey B. So we got 441. not nearly as many, but also you got to think of the time and the when did Beckett close down their grading submission service?
Yeah, and most people are pricing in that to PSA.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, and then PSA taking over as a clear leader. Obviously, a much higher chance of getting a 10. Like all these 9.5s from BGS are probably 10s over a PSA. I would be interested to see what the PSA pop report is on that card for Jameis.
Well, I just sent an offer on this PSA 8.5 for $100.
On an 8.5?
Yeah. For Jameis Winston rookie ticket auto. Let's put in for 100. Let me see.
So the whole thing with Burks, I think, has suppressed his ADP a little bit.
Good. I'm gonna be buying him like crazy. I mean, I'm gonna be buying him in fantasy leagues. That is. So let me see.
Yeah, that's the challenge. I've been looking for Burks autograph stuff every week, and it's just it's not there, man. If you wanted to get something, you're looking at Leaf Pro Set, but still at $25, would you get a Leaf Pro Set unlicensed Treylon Burks auto? Might be worth it.
Yeah, it might be worth it. Yeah,
it might be. If he breaks out like AJ Brown did, in his rookie season with the Titans. And they're coming out with all these new sets here really soon. But I'm curious to see if there's any auctions that ended yesterday. Dude, auctions were so juicy yesterday. Boom, exactly. Like, okay, I know it's a Sage, but it's Treylon Burks' autograph. And if you can get his autograph for $15, I think it might be worth it.
I got sniped on a Kayshawn auto, serial numbered 1 out of 25. I cried. What's his name is buying a ton of Kayshawn right now. Derek. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Kayshawn diehard.
Yeah. And Kayshawn got printed in the Bowman U too.
Hell yeah. You know, I'm all in on Kayshawn. Kay
Okay, why?
Shon. There you go.
Boo. Tay. Wait, 2 T's?
2 T's and E. There you go. And an E.
What's K for racer run? What the heck? It just totally. Oh, I got tricked. There we go. Oh man, see that is value because this is the same price right here that I'm buying Jalen Tolbert's for. And Kayshawn, I mean, you think he's going to go, obviously, with the way wide receiver talent is going now in drafts. Plus, you have the history of Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase from LSU in recent history.
Oh, the hype's going to be insane.
So he should go top 10 overall, right?
Yeah, he won't slip out of the top 10 unless he tears his ACL. But even then, he's still going to go really high. The one card I kind of want to focus on is that Brady Thanos card.
I'll pull up
you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, man. It's a color blast.
Yeah. Well, no, it's him with got his hand up. It's like a insert. I've seen a lot of people wanting to get it.
So I think we're gonna break one of these on the channel, a Prizm hobby box, 2021. They're reselling right now on Steel City for $1,600, and they ship this Friday. But I've got 7 guys in on it right now. So either myself, I might add myself, get in on it, or somebody else joins in, and we've got 8, and then we'll do like an 8-man snake draft, picking teams.
Yeah. Look at that.
That manga.
That Thanos card. It looks cool. Huh?
It does look cool.
Jamar Chase Color Blast. Are you kidding me?
Well, check it out. You know that the Marvels were a case hit, right? Check this out.
Look at you.
Yeah, bro.
What is that?
There's a seller. So this is a case hit trading card from Donruss, but there's a seller on eBay that makes these posters, and they're fire, dude. And I got this poster for $10.
That looks good.
And he's got Josh Allen, he's got Mahomes, he's got a bunch of different ones, some basketball guys, and yeah, man, $10 it's baller posters on eBay.
I like it, man.
That's pretty cool, right? I'm gonna put it on the wall back here.
Buy them before they sue them. So
yeah, exactly, right.